Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 31st chapter. Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. Watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sore disease breaketh sleep. Meaning, those that are constantly worrying about money, right? Trying to, make a living, or even just make money, right? That worry drives away sleep. Okay, as it says, it consumeth the flesh. You might drop a couple pounds being so stressed. Verse 2, right? I read verse 2 in the GNTD. It says, worrying about business will keep you from sleeping just as surely as a serious illness does. The rich hath great labor in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicates. The poor laboreth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. So what's one example here? Like in modern day, the poor is living paycheck to paycheck, right? And he's working and working and working. And the second he stops, he still needs money. That's paycheck to paycheck. The rich, they don't have to do that. Okay, as it says, they have great labor in gathering riches together. And when they rest, they're filled with their delicacies or delicates, right? They don't have to worry about being their pockets, their money going into pockets with holes. That's actually a curse, that was put on us. Verse 5, he that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Yeah, because eventually that greed or that love for gold, it doesn't mean that, everybody desires to have money, right? Money is a defense. But this is the love that drives evil, right? Remember, the love of money is the root of all evil. And he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Yeah, if you chase after corruption, you'll have more than enough corruption waiting for you. God hath been, gold, Slaki, hath been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. Yeah. Okay, either, in striving for gold, right, in the greed for it, or in being corrupted or bribed to pervert just judgment by gold. It has been the destruction of many, right? It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith, right? And also in the sense of idols, some idolize gold and money, and some literally, and quote idols in gold, right? And they sacrifice onto it, and they'll be taken with that stumbling block, right? They'll trip on it, and they're gonna fall to their demise. Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, right? Without transgression, and that's not going after gold, right? So there's some that are rich, but they're not greedy, right? They don't let that money drive them in every decision they make. Who is he? And we will call him blessed, right? If you found such a man, let us know. We'll call him blessed. For wonderful things hath he done among his people, who have been tried thereby and found perfect, right? So who has passed the trial of the test of gold, the test of riches, and not being corrupted by it? Then let him glory, who might offend and hath not offended, meaning like who, given the ability or the chance to offend, right, and knowing they could get away with it, have resisted it. They have not offended, or done evil and hath not done it, meaning having the opportunity to do it and yet have not done it. His good shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms. His alms. Yeah, such a man, his goods, the things he has will be established, and he will get that much more. And the congregation shall declare his alms, right, his good deeds. If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it, right? You go, you're invited maybe to some dinner, and there's a whole lot of food on there. Don't be that first guy, who's like quick. Your eyes are looking everywhere. You're eating with your eyes more than your mouth, reaching for this, reaching for that. Oh, you got food in your mouth. You pass me salt. No, don't do that. Don't do that. They might pass you out the house. Verse 13. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more than a wicked eye? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. Let's read that in the in the GNTD, verse 13. It says here, it is impolite to have a greedy eye. Remember that nothing in creation is greedier than the eye. That is why it sheds tears so often. You see, if you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. But once you see it, that's a whole different story. That's where you need to exercise discipline. Remember that verse 14, stretch not thine hand whithersoever it looketh. See, wherever the eye looks, you're looking on the table, it sees a chicken, let me reach for that. Seeing that, let me grab that. Oh, there's only one more left, it's okay, let me take it. No, do not be that guy. Trust and believe, do not be that guy. And thrust it not with him into the dish. See, like here it is. You basically competing, right? Somebody reaching for it, you reaching for it with them. you're not showing manners, okay? At this table, in the GNTD verse 14, it says, don't reach out for everything you see, and don't elbow people out of the way to get at the food. I read verse 15 as well. Be considerate of the other people at the table, and treat them the way you want to be treated. Right? It says here, judge not thyself, or judge not thy neighbor by thyself, and be discreet in every point. So you gotta show discipline, okay, and show manners, especially in a setting like that. Eat as it becometh a man, those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated. See, so eat with somebody with manners. Don't be wilding out, tearing up everything right in front of you, unless you be hated, right? People gonna look at you and they didn't next time. I mean, that'll be the last invite you ever get. Leave off first for manners' sake. See, don't be the last one. Here it is, you clearing other people's plate like you a human pig or something. Okay, leave off first. You'd be one of the first few to stop eating. Let everybody else have their fill. Okay, you eat a little bit. Okay, you good. You fine, right? And be not unsatiable. Unsatiable meaning you can't be satisfied. They bring you bowl after bowl after bowl. Damn near the freaking chef's hand is tired. The chef already cook it. It's an inside joke. It says here, lest thou offend. See, eventually they're gonna be like, yo, this guy's still eating. You're like, man, they gonna talk to whoever the host is. Listen, mark him down. He ain't coming back here again. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. See, if there's here it is. You're sitting amongst many, right? Everybody's there, and you're the first one reaching for the food. No. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured. See, somebody that's raised up properly. A little bit is sufficient for them. They don't need to fill the whole tank. And he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Okay, I'll read that verse 19 in the GNTD. It says here, a little bit is plenty for anyone with good manners. Besides, you won't be short of breath when you're going to bed, meaning if you eat too much, you start gaining weight, get out of shape, and now you're gassed, just trying to make it to your bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him, but the pain of watching, and choler, and pangs of the belly are with an unsatiable man, somebody that keeps on eating and eating and eating. Right, verse 20 in the GNTD, people who eat too much get stomach aches and cannot sleep. If you don't overeat, you can get a good night's sleep and wake up early the next morning feeling fine. And if thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. Right, if you end up you end up eating too much, right, then as it says, wake up, get up, vomit, throw it up, and you're gonna be all right. So maybe it's not sitting right with your stomach. My son, hear me and despise me not. And at the last thou shalt find as I told thee. See, so if you take heed to these words, you'll find out how true they were. When it comes to pass. In all thy works, be quick. So shall there be no sickness. So shall there no sickness come upon thee. All right, verse 22 in the GNTD, it says here, my child, if you listen to what I'm saying and put it into practice, one of these days you will thank me, or thank me for it. Be moderate in everything you do, and you will never get sick. Whoso is liberal of his meat, liberal is You're generous, right? You're a generous host. Men shall speak well of him, right? People are gonna speak, gonna speak well of you, right? Oh, this guy's good. Last time he invited us, oh, it was great. And the report of his good housekeeping will be delivered. But against him that is a niggard of his meat, the whole city, the whole city shall murmur. Okay, you somebody that's stingy with your food, boy. It says, and the testimonies of his niggardness shall not be of doubt. No, oh, no, I can definitely believe that. I don't doubt that. Last time I went and man, all I needed was that he damn near almost bit my hand off. Shew not thy valiantness in wine, for wine have destroyed many. Yeah, don't try to, prove your manhood in wine. You're having wine competitions and drinking, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get too drunk and be brought under the power of it, and it has led to the destruction of many. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping. So doth wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Okay, it says here, an arrogant person's character shows through when he is in a drunken argument, in the same way that iron is tested when it is heated red hot and then dipped in water. Verse 27, wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? See, so wine is good, but if drunk moderately. For it was made to make men glad. Wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. Right, you drink it at the right time, in the right proportion. It can be a very pleasing, soothing, thing. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of mind, and brawling and quarreling. Right, eventually, if you you drink too much, you get drunk. You start getting out of pocket. Right, and leads to what? Bitterness of mind, bringing up certain sorrows in your mind. Certain emotions coming up. Before you know it, you getting into it with somebody, you're not controlling yourself. And if they're drunk or they don't have control, now you get into hands being thrown, right? Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. See? It diminisheth strength and maketh wounds, because they're under the power of wine, right? The scriptures tell you. See if I can find that. Wine is a mocker, right? Proverbs 20:1. Wine is a mocker. Strong drink is raging, right? It causes one who drinks it to rage. And whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. That's why here it mentioned it increases the rage of a fool. Okay, until he does something that's off. And it weakens him and then makes wounds, right? You trigger those brawling and the quarreling, and now you wake up the next morning with your jaw hurting. Rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink. So wine was made for man, and so don't rebuke somebody, your neighbor, who's he's just trying to have a good time, right? And the GNTD, never rebuke a person when you have both been drinking. Don't hurt his feelings while he is having a good time. It's not the time to criticize anyone or to ask him to pay back a debt. There's a time, place, and season for everything. And that brings us to the end of the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 31st chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.